Hello, it's time for Combat Patrol Carnage. We're on to issue 20. Last time we built our model, so now let's throw some colour on him with our paint guide. So it's a very simplistic paint guide, but it does give us a little bit of an insight into how we'll be painting Chaos Space Marines. From what we've seen in issue 2, it showed off a Chaos Space Marine in the colours of the Black Legion. So luckily the colour guide from this Chaplain will be a good hint at what they'll be using to paint Chaos Space Marines when we come around to that issue. So yeah, we'll go through the paint guide. I've already got 3 coats of black down on him as a starting point. So yeah, let's hit the table and get on with our painting. Before we do, don't forget to do all the usual, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop me a comment down below. Painting wise, what do you think you're going to look forward to painting the most? Kind of a toss-up between the Leagues of Votan, which are doing in the Kronos Hegemony colour scheme, and I am looking forward to Genius of the Cults. I haven't painted them for a long time, and even when I did collect Genius of the Cults, I don't think I painted much of my army. So this is going to definitely be a nice little change to the norm for me. So yeah, those two are definitely on my eager to paint list. So can't wait for those to come around. Finally then, Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. They stock everything from new and used models for various different armies and game systems, to all your hobby supplies, and even your gaming tokens and dice as well. They're also stockists of Combat Patrol and previous partworks from Hachette, and they're taking advance orders up to issue 38 currently. So if you're wanting some extra issues, head to warbay.shop. There's a link in the video description, and you can grab yourself a hobby bargain at a bit of a discount. Right, grab your brushes and shake your paints. Let's head to the table and paint our Chaplain on bike. So before I bring in the paint desk, let's have a quick flick through and see how the paint guide is put to use. So as we've already done, we've got 3 coats of Abaddon black over our model, making sure we work it into all the dips on the tires and being careful around the tabs, making sure we work it in behind and underneath all the different armor panels, making sure we coat in our tire model. Up next then we start picking out details in lead belcher. So we got the engine block and main chassis of the bike, we got the steering column pieces, we got the ammo and ammo expelling port for the bolt rifles, we got the exhausts, we got the hubcaps, bits on the actual wheel mechanism there, we got the chains on the book, we got the muzzle of the bolt rifles there, we got details up underneath to try and reach as well. We've got details on the Chaplain, so the vents and exhaust on his backpack, little spikes on top of the exhausts there, and we're also picking out the grills and latches on his helmet, as well as the straps underneath his gauntlets there, plus the chain holding his Rosarius on as well. Sticking with the silvers, metallics even, we are going to look at Retributor armor next. So we've got details on the book, so the corners and the end of the bookmark. We got the iron haloed skull there on the bike. We got all the trim on the Chaplain's armor. We got his iron halo, his Crozius, and we've even got the little trinkets at the end of the chain to pick out as well. Then after a change of water, we can start looking at the matte colors. So Rakoff flesh on the book and Purity Seal parchment pieces, Mephiston red on the guns, and Crozius haft, the handlebars, and the eyes of our Chaplain's mask. Screamer pink is used for the Purity Seals and the book cover. Wraith Bone to pick out the skull helm and the little skull at the back of the bike. Crag Blue for the shoulder pad of his chapter symbol. And Backnar Burgundy for our bookmark. And that's our Chaplain so far. Right, let's bring in our paint desk and give this guy some paint. So there we go, 3 coats of Abaddon Black down. Our Chaplain bike is ready for its first colours. So the guy tells us to start with all the metallics, which is quite nice. So we'll kick off with Leadbelcher. So on the bike we want to paint the exhaust as well as the under chassis, being careful around the legs. We've also got various other metal components to pick out. We've got the ammo feed for the guns, the chains around the book, including the padlock on top. Got the hubcaps in behind here to pick out. These small details here, the steering bars that connect the wheel just there. Then we got to do handlebars and the steering column. That's the other word I was thinking of. That's the silver on the actual bike done. It's a bit messy in places, that's fine. We will of course tidy up later on. Moving on to the actual Chaplain himself, we're going to need our small layer brush for this, as we have a lot of fine detail to pick out. So we've got the grills and pipes around his mask, latches on the side of his helmet. And we've also got buckles on his van brace there. Turning around, we've got the usual backpack detail to pick out. So these exhausts at the bottom, the vents at the top here. And we even want to pick out these little spikes running down the top like so. With the silver details picked out, we can move on to our gold with Retributor armor. So most of these are small details, so we'll need our small layer brush. So we'll get some of this made up on our palette. And we can start picking out details such as our haloed skull on the side of the bike. But we need a couple of layers to get a nice bright gold over a black base coat. Just let your first one dry and then you can move on to your second. Any mistakes we can tidy up at the end. So we've got the ends of the handlebars, the little skulls we're picking out in gold. We've got the key and the charm on his chain here. We've got all the edging on his power armor. So we've got a skull on his van brace and the edge of the van brace as well. And we've got the edging around his shoulder pad. Moving on to the chaplain himself, our gold details are going to be the top of the Crozius, his iron halo, being careful around the rest of the head, and of course any trim So with fresh water in our pot and our previous colours all dry, we are now ready to start looking at doing all our matte colours. And we're going to kick things off with Rack Our Flesh. This is going to be for purity seals and the pages of the book. So again, we'll be using our small airbrushes. These are quite fine details. Get some of the paint ready on my palette here, and we can apply this to our model. So we've got the purity seals parchment here. So pick those out with Rack Our Flesh. Like so. And on the bike we've got the pages of the book. So run the Rack Our Flesh in between the covers. Being careful around the gold and silver that we've already previously painted. And we've got the purity seals on this side to pick out as well. With the Rack Our Flesh drying, we're moving on to a Fist on Red. This is going to be used for weapon grips, the grips on the handlebars, the lenses on our chaplain's helmet, and of course the gun casings on the bike. So get a small amount of this ready on my palette. And on our chaplain, we're going to work this into each of his eye lenses. No matter if we overspill at the moment, as we're going to paint the skull helm in a bit. We've also got the grip on his Crozius here. Then on the bike, we've got the grips on the handlebars. And around the front we want to get the casings of the guns. With those red details now dry, our next colour is going to be Screamer Pink, and this is going to be for the wax purity seals as well as the book cover. So just get a small amount on the palette, thin down some water as usual. So we've got the book to pick out here, working it into all the recess detail, picking out the edges that go around just like so. Just being careful around the chains and that gold on the corners. And we've got the purity seals, so each shoulder has 3. So I'll pick out the wax. Like so. Now that the Screamer Pink has dried, we can move on to good old Wraithbone, and this is going to be for 2 things. We got the little skull hanging off the back of the bike. Don't worry about the straps, we'll be picking that out once we get a brown colour. There's one layer, leave that to dry while we pick out the second detail, which is going to be his skull helm. So there's a couple of areas to avoid. The central ridge there, that needs to stay black. And we've got to try and avoid the eyes as best we can as well, as we've already painted them in red. I'll leave that to dry and we'll go in with a second layer just to make sure we've got everything. With our Wraithbone details done, we're on to the first of the last 2 colours. So we need a Crag Blue, and you guessed it, this is going to be for the shoulder pad where these chapter symbol will rest. So I want to block out the entirety of the shoulder pad's flat surface. So we can easily cover over any mistakes we've made already. We'll leave the first layer to dry and we'll put a second down just so we've got a smooth coverage over that black undercoat. There we go, 2 layers of macragge glue down, and we just have one last colour to do. We need a tiny bit of Baraknar Burgundy, and this is going to be for the bookmark of the book. So we got 2 parts to do. There's the top part just in there, at the top of the book, and then we got the bottom bit that's coming out down here. Don't forget to get both sides and the edges as well. There's a little tidy up to do there, but that's no problem because that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm off to tidy up this model and I'll see you back at the book. And there we have it, our Chaplain on bike painted currently to the magazine standard, and he's looking really good. I've done a few things wrong. Apparently the handlebars are meant to be left black, so I might have to go back and do them later on, but I think we're going to wait for more colours before we can add details like the screen and the buttons. Yeah, other than that, I got all the colours according to the magazine. I've even done the shells on the base, but probably won't be picking those out until we actually get the grey paint, which won't be until nearly issue 30. So, yeah. There we go. Up next then is our naming ceremony. We got a Tactica to read on a Chaplain, and then we get to try him out in battle. So I hope you'll join me for that, but until then, thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you on more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.